Okay, so I've officially turned on the recording for this class session today. So, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is having a good day. This lesson is going to be about foot bony palpations and everything that has to do with them. We are going to start this class with a very short video and a little chat discussion. So, the video that you're going to see is one of the Minnesota Vikings players who, within the first about 30 seconds of this video, you'll see another player collapse on his foot. I'll point it out, just kind of showing you guys kind of an example of an athletic injury. So let's take a look. All right. So it's his left foot. Right there. So, obviously, a foot or ankle injury of some sort just occurred to this player. So, to kind of start things off, let's head over to the left-hand side of your screen to the chat box. And my first question is just, how many of you here have had a foot injury of some sort before? You can also use the mood icon to raise your hand or agree. Okay, so we look like we've had some people with some foot injuries. Now you can chat amongst yourselves and explain what was wrong, what you had to do for it, what your experience was. So let's take a few minutes to do that. So it looks like Kelly had a sprained ligament in her foot. Okay, so what was your experience with that? Did you have a lot of pain? What did you do for it? Okay, so you had a lot of pain all the time when you were walking and you were put into a boot, which helps a lot. Okay, makes sense. You know, the boot takes the pressure off the foot. Good. Looks like we got some other people with some different foot injuries and a lot of good conversation going on about what happened with them and how they dealt with all of that. So while you guys are chatting, I'm going to pull up our first poll of the day. So this poll that everyone will see is asking, how many bones do you think are in the foot? So let's take a vote on this, see what you think, and then when we get into the PowerPoint, we'll retake it and see if anyone changes their answer. Okay, so it looks like everyone has put in their answer to that poll. So next, we are going to start with the PowerPoint presentation. So this is about the foot and the toes, lower extremity, specifically the bony palpations in the foot. So the first slide, general rule of thumb when you're palpating is you want to palpate the whole area. You don't just want to pick one tiny point on a bone and palpate that because that might not be where their pain is. So you also want to use medium pressure. You don't want to press too light where they can't feel it. You don't want to press too hard because then everything might hurt. And make sure the athlete knows where you're palpating and what you're using to palpate. So for example, in this picture, you see a thumb here over by the first cuneiform, but then you see maybe some of the fingers are back by the navicular or underneath the foot. If the athlete says, ouch, that hurts, does it hurt where your thumb is or does it hurt where your fingers are? So be sure to be specific and specify with the athlete because in the end it will just help with your overall evaluation of them. So next we're going to get into the actual palpations of the foot and see what we can find. So we'll start with the toes. So all the toes are created with a metatarsal, this long bone right here. You got 5 different ones for your 5 toes. Each toe has a metatarsal. All the toes also have phalanges. These are the distal ends that make up all the joints and what you would consider the actual toe part of your foot, the part that bends. So the first toe, or your big toe, is referred to as the hallucis. So if you ever hear anyone say the hallucis or an injury involving the hallucis, it always means the big toe. So the big toe only has 2 phalanges, proximal meaning closer, and distal meaning further. Then when you get into phalanges 2 through 5, they all have 3. The proximal, again close, middle, and distal, again the furthest one and the smallest. So you have all those same ones for 2, 3, 4, and 5. So next are the tarsal bones of the foot. These are just the other foot bones that make up your arch and support you when you're walking. So first you have the cuneiforms, the lateral, intermediate, and medial. So medial always means closer to the midline. So middle, hence why it would be underneath the big toe. Intermediate, meaning in the middle, and lateral, meaning closer to the outside. Next, you have the cuboid, which articulates with metatarsal 5 and metatarsal 4. The navicular, which articulates with all 3 of the cuneiforms. That is actually on the inside of your foot. If you've ever looked at your foot and notice almost like a little bump on the inside under your ankle bone, that is your navicular poking out. It's pretty easy to find. The talus right here is one of the main parts in the ankle bone. And then obviously down here, the calcaneus, or most of you probably know it as your heel bone, right there. So let's take another look at a different view. So this will be the medial side, or the inside of your foot. So this would be the big toe right here. Notice how you got the metatarsal and then only 2 phalanges right there. So there again is the talus, articulates with the tibia and the fibula right here. And then the calcaneus, or the heel bone, where the Achilles tendon attaches, that we'll talk about later, that articulates with the talus. And then also, right here, you can see the navicular from this side. So then from the lateral side, or the outside of your foot, you have, again, metatarsal 5 with 1, 2, 3 phalanges. You have, again, the talus, and it shows the tibial and fibula articulations. The calcaneus, again, the heel bone. And then on this side, you can also see the cuboid, a little bit of the cuneiforms, and then right here's kind of an important area. It's called the base of the 5th metatarsal, base meaning bottom. And this is only important for the fact that a lot of muscles that come down from the foot, they come around down here and attach right here. So a lot of times with ankle sprains, you can sometimes break this little piece off and fracture it. So it's a good palpation to just kind of keep in mind right there. So that will do it for the PowerPoint presentation. So next, over in the chat section, did anybody pay attention and count the number of foot bones that we had? Was anyone wrong? Okay, so it looks like a lot of people, there were more than they thought there were. Good. In the foot and the hand, there's all these little bones that people forget about and that they don't really know about. So that's good. Hopefully now you've realized that the answer was there are 26 bones in the foot. If you include all the metatarsals and the phalanges and the tarsal bones and the ankle bone and all that. So what we are going to do first is I am going to screen share the foot bone PowerPoint Google Doc. I'm currently sending you the link in the chat box. So you're going to click on that link, following it to the Google Docs, and there will be a picture of a foot bone. I want us to take a few minutes. Let's label the different bones in the foot. Let's see how you guys do. So I'm going to screen share right now and see how people are doing working on this. Okay, so here we got. Okay, looks like this group has not started yet. Okay, so this group looks like we are going to talk about the navicular Perfect. Okay, so we got some people doing some labeling, really getting in there and showing what they know about each bone in the foot. Good. So we got 5 minutes, worked on that. Now I'm going to stop screen sharing. So, what did everyone think about the foot labeling? Did it go well? Did it not? Let's talk about that over in the chat. Okay, so it seems like for most people it went very well. Didn't have too many issues. So the next thing that I'm going to send you is your breakout activity. So over in the chat box, I sent you the new link to a Google Doc. And this is going to give you a scenario that asks you to pick 5 palpations that you would palpate on the foot, judging by the person's pain. So I'm going to give you guys about 10 minutes to do that. So now, after you guys had that time, I'm going to screen share again. And let's show group 1 scenario. It's an athlete who came in complaining of right foot pain, and they came up with their palpations of the third metatarsal, the lateral cuneiform, cuboid, second and fourth met, lateral malleolus. So down here I can see they had some conversation about why they chose what and different ways to do it. So another way in Google Docs is there is a messaging thing, but it doesn't work for Firefox. It only works for Google Chrome. So now I'm going to stop screen sharing. Now that we have done our breakout groups and everything, I'm going to pull up our final chat questions to talk about over in the chat box. So, did you feel comfortable coming up with the 3 injuries or the 5 palpations? Okay, so I see that most of you felt pretty comfortable coming up with palpations. Why did this come comfortably to you, or why did it not? Okay, so I see a lot of you thought it came very easily because we just went over the presentation, so you kind of had a reference as to what bones were where in the foot. Good, so the presentation was helpful. What was the hardest part of this assignment? Okay, so obviously being new to evaluating and not really knowing the mechanics of everything in the foot. Very good. So, and obviously these are things that with time and experience you will better your evaluation and palpation skills. Okay, so now that we've answered all those questions, I want to take another poll. So we got a couple polls. So the first one is, and I hope this is a yes for everyone, did you at least learn something new in this presentation? Okay, so it seems like I think we had everyone vote yes. So next question would be, what was your favorite part of this presentation? The PowerPoint, the breakout groups, the chat. You can be honest and say nothing, or you can say other. Okay, so we had some people say other or nothing. So why don't over in the chat box you explain, if you chose other, what you liked that I did not put on here. Okay, so it looks like some people liked the video. Okay, someone liked the foot labeling skill. So looks like everyone had a pretty good presentation and hopefully learned some new things. So that is the presentation for today. Just a reminder, next week we will be going over the muscles and how you palpate and look for those and test those. So if you want to read ahead in your books in chapter 2, that would be great, so you can kind of get a little background knowledge. Probably going to be similar setup next week. We're going to do a little breakout group again. Be ready for some more polls and some more chats. So I will see everybody next week. All right, have a good day.